it got made, and I'm proud of the way it turned out.
Hello, I'd like to ask you about other topics of your scripts. Which topics are you interested in?
Well, my next one is, which I wrote before this when I was still technically a comedy writer, is a very political movie. Bruce Dern is in it. Eric Stoltz, if you know the actor, directed it. It's his feature. He's a huge TV director. It's his first feature. And it's about a 18-year-old kid who runs for Board of Education in his town. And it's got a lot of political commentary in it. Since this, I've now been doing a lot of fictional book adaptations. I did a book at Warner Brothers right now called Wings of War. It's about war in Afghanistan. There's a Japanese book I adapted called The Thief that I love. I think would be a great book. And I just started my first nonfiction, which I was telling Jared earlier is a very different pressure, being a true story. It's a book called $1 Billion Spy. It was on the New York Times bestseller list this year by David Hoffman, who's a Washington Post reporter who won the Pulitzer for The Dead Hand a while back. It's very Argo-esque in that it's declassified CIA files, and he spent years trying to get them declassified about truly America's greatest spy we ever had during the Cold War, this Russian who was not in the government, not a military guy, but he happened to work at this military radar factory. He had given the United States over a decade all of Russia's radar systems, which kind of gave Reagan the confidence to push harder because we knew we could defeat all their planes. And once we had those systems, it's crazy. When American fighters have fought MiGs in the Iraq War and other wars, they're like 66-0. They've never been taken down once since we've taken these radar systems. But it's a true story. I was just in DC a few weeks ago meeting all these CIA agents from the 80s, and there's now like a pressure, because it is a true story, but we have to fictionalize some things to be able to fit 10 years of spying into a 120-page script. If I had my preference, it would have been a television show, but we couldn't sell it as a TV show.
So the Russians knew that the U.S. knew.
The Russians didn't know for a decade. Once they caught him, they knew.
Okay. I'm just curious, how much writing do you do now, if any, on speculation on your own, and how much are you commissioned or paid for?
It's 50-50. I've sold some spec scripts over the last couple of years, 2 TV series that were original ideas. The difference between my career now, the last 3 years, 4 years, and before is everything was spec, and you're constantly pitching. And now I'm being pitched, and I have to actually kind of sort through. And someone will come to me with a book, and I don't necessarily get that book, but it'll be between me and 3 other writers, and we're giving our take on it.
Okay, so you have to read the book and then make the pitch, like this is how
Here's
I
my
would.
version. And it's got, every case is a little different. The $1 Billion Spy, I was the only writer. And I went out, took the book, pitched to studios. But I was in LA a couple months ago and pitching that one, and I went into a TV meeting and pitched this TV idea I had, 2-minute pitch, kind of off the cuff, and they bought that. And that would never happen before. And then I'm not writing on spec because they're paying me to write my original idea. But
What's the name of the movie that you wrote before this, but it's coming out later this year?
it's currently called Class Rank, but Eric emailed me yesterday. He wants to change the name, so I have no idea.
Okay. Keep your eye on imdb.com and search for Benjamin August, and you'll get an update on what's coming out and what the title is.
But these things take so long. It's like I said, I wrote this 4.5 years ago, and it's just in the system to get going. The indie films generally happen quicker once you have the money, but it could take 9 years, like this next film, to get the money. Which is...
Well, getting the money for a feature is never easy or quick, almost never. And it seems to me, and I've heard, I I don't watch TV much, but most of the really good writing and directing and acting these days is TV series rather than feature films. And you've been doing both.
Yeah, well, there is an exodus of people in features moving into TV. And when you go into a feature meeting, generally now in LA, everybody wants to see good TV shows as well. The first TV series I sold is with a big features producer, this guy named Andrew Lazar, who's done 100 movies, but he did American Sniper 2 years ago, which is not my favorite movie, but it made a lot of money, and it's kind of given him, opened a lot of doors for him, so this is his first TV series that he's making.
Does it happen often that a producer will buy your screenplay and then keep it on the shelf for years or forever?
I saw some stat once that 80% of stuff that's bought is never made, and I'd sold 4 scripts that just sat on shelves before. What I've said to my agents and managers, I only want to have books and stuff that you think has the best shot of getting made. Because there's definitely some producers whose money is real and some who's not. So hopefully more stuff is going to be coming out soon.
And again, I'm just curious, on a movie like this, do you sell the script outright, or do you have some kind of profit sharing if the movie is successful?
Sold it outright. I have a percentage of profit sharing, but you'll never see that money unless this movie made $100 million, which is going to make like $2 million. But yeah, I'm not seeing anything on the back end.
I've heard that often marketing a movie can be more expensive, can cost more than the movie itself.
Yeah, I don't know really much about the accounting, but from my people I've talked to about it, it's almost impossible to see a percentage of the profit.
Just one more question, just to follow up on that. That I never thought about before, but is that one of the reasons why TV shows, people listen to TV because in TV there's more potential that you can make money easier because...
Well, all the money's in TV now. People making the most money is TV. And the TV departments at agencies like Morning Morris and things like that, that's what funds the agencies. The film department is more winning awards.
Well, and also writers and directors get residuals, right? But
yeah, yes, the residuals are much better in TV than film. I mean, the landscape's kind of changing, because especially with Amazon and Netflix and things that the Guild didn't negotiate for in the past. It affects all of the residuals.
Yes, hi. I just wanted to come back to the movie itself, and I was curious about the music, and you brought that up a little bit in your little synopsis, and you mentioned you were using it kind of as transition, but I was wondering if there was something deeper behind that in terms of music transcending religion or cultures or any of that, or is there more to it? Because you said you insisted in keeping that, so I was wondering how much of a statement you wanted to make with it.
That's a good question. Definitely one of the reasons I wanted it in is because he says, my music teacher said these are the 3 greatest composers, or 3 Jewish composers. So to me, he gave a little bit of his background when he was a youth. Jews in Germany were the most assimilated Jews in Europe, and he probably knew Jews, probably had a Jewish teacher, and then whatever happened, he ended up down this road where he worked at, served at Auschwitz. The score itself, I have nothing to do with it. Michael Dana, this composer, he's an Oscar-winning composer. There's a lot of oboe in it, which I found a little powerful, too much at times, but that's all the director and the composer working together. To me, just the piano is important, and also with dementia and Alzheimer's, music is such an important thing that brings back memory. And the experts I talked to would agree with that.
it was unusual in film music. It wasn't the kind of music with a theme that you would come out humming.
Yeah, and I've been sent this. I have the actual score, and I've never listened to it because I've seen the movie so many times. But
yeah, I wanted to ask a little bit about the idea of memory. and obviously he's suffering from dementia, but the memory or the false memory of what he had done started way before then. I think that's what we're supposed to assume from this, right? Now, I mean, did you really think that was that sort of way of dealing with trauma, something very traumatic, were you trying to make some, really talk about that issue of how we use memory and how we can create memories to serve where we are currently, and maybe completely to the point where he completely forgets what he did?
Yeah. So looking into it, and there's obviously the dementia element, but then there's repressed memory and telling yourself this lie over and over and over again. And the experts we talked to, and basically all do is when you tell a story about your trips or whatever, you embellish a little bit and you start telling the story a few more times, and at some point that becomes a story in your mind. That's the truth, and it actually channels in your brain that program that it feels like the truth. So he's told this lie for 70 years. Never told his wife the truth, and never told his kids the truth, and he's been living this lie. So the experts we talked to said, there's examples like this where people just completely buy into who they've been telling people they are, and that it would take a jarring moment to bring it back out. But there are different levels of memory, and one is in your also muscle memory, which goes back to the piano playing, and you can see that when he fires the gun. And some people say, how can this old guy fire a gun so accurately? He shot a dog, he shot the guy in the chest, and shot him in the head. Because he was this SS officer, and at some point he had military training, he knew how to fire a gun. The muscle memory is coming back.
I thought it was interesting too with the dog, because of the dog that you chose. Obviously it was a guard dog from the camps, and so it's interesting to take that he's from the other side. Instead of, because you get the feeling that he's having some sort of flashback to having these dogs barking at him instead of him being the one, the guard.
Right, and there's multiple little things like that in here where you could look at Christopher's performance one way, and then on a second viewing you get it. Coming back to about Christopher is a huge dog lover. He wouldn't like what we eat in Hanoi here sometimes, but he didn't. That was the one thing in the script he was nervous about doing. He's like, no one's going to root for me anymore, or follow me on this journey once I shoot this dog. And Adam had to really talk to him, saying, people were still going to be wanting you to succeed, and this dog's about to leap on you. And that's like actually motivating an actor who's been doing it for so long when he goes against his own core values was interesting for me to watch.
I would just add that dog, though, it seemed like the most evil character in the whole film.
I think the dog does.
It's the dead dog on the ground there's like one stuffed German Shepherd in all of North America that they had to like fly into Toronto.
Stunt dog.
Yeah.
The stunt dead dog. I'm curious. I'm always amazed because I'll watch a movie, and when I watch a movie, it's like a 10-year-old kid. I mean, I'm taken away by the movie, and I don't try to think what's going to happen. But people are always saying to me, well, didn't you see it coming? Didn't you? I mean, I knew what was going to happen. Did anybody here see it coming? Did anybody here anticipate what the ending might be? I'm just curious.
No.
Congratulations.
Well, it's funny because a lot of audiences have said, Christopher Plummer's not Jewish. The movie opens up, and I've screened this with a lot of very Jewish audiences, and they say, "Oh, I saw him. He always plays a Nazi," but I started believing it, which makes it genius casting because at the end you're like, "I knew he wasn't Jewish." He's a Nazi.
Sound of music.